Title: The Midnight Shift. The clock struck midnight as Alex and Jake, two weary gas station attendants, prepared for another long night on the graveyard shift. The rain lashed against the windows, casting eerie shadows across the empty parking lot as they settled in behind the counter. As the hours dragged on, the monotony of the night weighed heavily on Alex's shoulders, his mind drifting into a haze of boredom and exhaustion. But just when he thought he couldn't take another minute of the mind-numbing silence, a faint tapping sound caught his attention. Startled, Alex glanced up from his magazine, his eyes scanning the dimly lit store for the source of the noise. It was then that he noticed Jake, standing by the window with a look of unease etched on his face. "Did you hear that?" Jake whispered, his voice barely audible over the sound of the rain. Alex shook his head, his heart pounding in his chest. "Hear what?" But before Jake could respond, the tapping sound came again, louder this time, more insistent. It seemed to be coming from outside, echoing through the darkness like a ghostly refrain. With a sense of trepidation, Alex and Jake made their way to the door, their footsteps echoing through the empty store. As they peered outside, they were met with a sight that chilled them to the bone. A figure standing in the shadows, its form obscured by the rain and the darkness. Heart racing, Alex reached for the door handle, his hand trembling with fear. But before he could open it, the figure stepped forward into the light, revealing itself to be a woman. Her clothes tattered and soaked with rain, her eyes wide with fear. "Please," she pleaded, her voice trembling with emotion. "You have to help me." Without hesitation, Alex and Jake ushered the woman inside, their instincts telling them that something was terribly wrong. As she collapsed into a chair, the woman recounted her harrowing tale. She had been driving through the storm when her car had broken down, leaving her stranded in the middle of nowhere with no way to call for help. Determined to assist, Alex and Jake offered the woman their phone to call for a tow truck, reassuring her that she would be safe until help arrived. But as she dialed the number, a sense of unease washed over them. Something wasn't right. Just then, the lights flickered, casting the store into darkness for a split second before returning to normal. It was then that Alex noticed the woman's reflection in the window. Her eyes were glowing with an otherworldly light, her features twisted into a grotesque mask of terror. With a sinking feeling in the pit of his stomach, Alex turned to Jake. But before he could speak, the woman's voice rang out, low and guttural, filled with an ancient power that sent shivers down their spines. "You should never have let me in," she hissed, her voice dripping with malice. "Now, you're mine." With a sudden surge of movement, the woman lunged forward, her hands reaching out towards them with a strength that defied logic. In a panic, Alex and Jake stumbled backwards, their minds reeling with fear as they realized the true horror of their situation. Trapped in the gas station with a creature beyond their comprehension, Alex and Jake fought for survival against the darkness that threatened to consume them. But as the hours passed and the storm raged on outside, they knew that their fate was sealed. For in the heart of the night, where shadows lurk and nightmares come to life, there is no escape from the horrors that await. Title: Shadows of the Inn. It was a stormy night when Emily stumbled upon the old inn, its weathered facade illuminated by the flickering glow of a single neon sign. Exhausted from hours of driving through the rain, she welcomed the sight of shelter and warmth with open arms. Unbeknownst to Emily, the inn had a dark history. For years, rumors had swirled of strange happenings within its walls, whispers of ghostly apparitions and restless spirits haunting the halls. But eager to escape the storm, she paid little heed to the warnings, brushing off the superstitions as mere folklore. As she stepped through the creaking door, Emily was greeted by the sight of a grand foyer, its elegant furnishings shrouded in shadows. A chill ran down her spine as she approached the front desk, the air thick with an otherworldly energy that sent shivers down her spine. The innkeeper, a stoic figure with eyes as cold as ice, greeted her with a curt nod, his voice barely above a whisper as he handed her the key to her room. "Room 13, he said, his words dripping with a sense of foreboding that Emily couldn't quite place. With a nervous smile, Emily made her way up the staircase, the floorboards groaning beneath her weight as she climbed higher and higher into the darkness. As she reached the top of the stairs, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, the shadows seeming to dance and twist around her like specters in the night. Unlocking the door to her room, Emily stepped inside and was greeted by the sight of faded wallpaper and antique furnishings, the air heavy with the scent of decay. Despite the eerie atmosphere, she brushed off her unease and settled in for the night, eager to escape into the realm of dreams. But as the hours passed and the storm raged on outside, Emily found sleep elusive, her mind plagued by strange visions and unsettling whispers that seemed to echo through the darkness. It was then that she heard it, a soft tapping sound, like fingers against glass, coming from the window across the room. Heart pounding, Emily rose from her bed and made her way towards the window, her breath catching in her throat as she beheld the sight before her. There, standing in the rain-soaked courtyard below, was a figure. A woman with eyes as black as night, her ghostly form illuminated by flashes of lightning in the distance. Frozen with fear, Emily could only watch as the woman beckoned to her voice a faint whisper on the wind. "Come to me," she said, her words laced with an otherworldly power that sent chills down Emily's spine. With a sense of dread creeping over her, Emily backed away from the window, her heart racing with fear. She knew then that she was not alone in the inn, that something sinister lurked within its walls, waiting to claim her soul for its own. Desperate to escape, Emily fled from the room, her footsteps echoing through the empty halls as she raced towards the front door. But as she reached the staircase, she was met with a sight that chilled her to the bone. The innkeeper, his eyes burning with an unholy light, standing in her path with a malevolent grin. "Leaving so soon?" he said, his voice dripping with malice. "But the night is still young and there are so many more shadows to explore." With a scream, Emily turned and fled into the storm, the echoes of her footsteps drowned out by the roar of thunder as she disappeared into the darkness, leaving behind the haunted inn and the horrors that awaited within its walls.